Welcome to the Road Reaction Postgame Show here on CowbellKingdom.com. I'm Jonathan Santiago. That is James Ham with earbuds on. And the
Yo,
Sacramento Kings lose to the Washington Wizards 93 to 84. James, first initial thoughts on this game. I'm kind of surprised that the Kings were able to only lose by 9 points because, in the first half there, they just seemed to not really be in a rhythm whatsoever.
or care, or
Yeah,
care.
DeMarcus Cousins blowing up at it looked like Marcus Thornton or Carl Landry, I don't know, on a defensive play.
He did one of
Um,
these, Marcus Thornton.
was that? Can you do that again?
He did one of these,
Yeah.
Marcus Thornton, with a few choice F words.
Well, the expletive did get on the air on the broadcast. I'm not. I'm
Yeah.
sure the folks at Comcast weren't too pleased with that, but yeah, I'm just kind of surprised that they were able to come back in this game and lose only by 9. It just seemed like at that point the game had the makings of a blowout, and they wound up losing by 9 points. But still, it's a game that they shouldn't. To me, you look at the final stat lines here for DeMarcus Cousins: 14 points on 3 of 16 shooting, 12 rebounds. And Rudy Gay 5 points on 2 of 11 shooting. That's a killer right there. In addition to not so much, I mean, not great support from the bench. Ben McLemore did give you something tonight, 11 points on 5
Yes.
of 12 shooting. But they need, they've seen DeMarcus Cousins be consistent all season long, and in the last 2 games he's kind of been out of sorts. I'd say.
I would say out of sorts is a very good definition of what we saw tonight. I mean, it wasn't until he actually got elbowed in the temple by his own teammate, Derek Williams, and it looked like he was going to crumble to the ground, and, it was a big blow. That was the moment where he actually even woke up and looked like he cared at all. Before that, he just looked like he was completely disinterested. He was walking up and down the court. I mean, there wasn't a play tonight where DeMarcus Cousins was the first guy to break the half court line, or even in the top 3 guys to break the half court line. So there's that. Rudy Gay, coming off the flu, didn't look great. He looked like he was still a little under the weather, or at least had no energy. You can go down the list. I think the only guys that really came out to play were Isaiah Thomas and Ben McLemore. And, just by default, DeMarcus Cousins was able to get another double-double, his 32nd of the season. But for me, John, this was such a winnable game. Washington just refused to put the Kings away, and the Kings squandered it. No matter what, they squandered it again and again. They got it down to 4. They had a chance to get it down to 5, and McLemore missed a layup with 1:20 left. I mean, this game was ripe for the taking the whole time, and to me, this is one of those ones where Michael Malone just comes unglued afterwards, where his team just completely let him down. His defense completely let him down. And I'll say this too, in defense of the second team, for some reason when they go to their bench, they stop running the same offense, and I don't know why, but every single night they keep doing this, and no one is setting a pick for Jimmer Fredette. He's just hung out, 10 feet from the three-point line, getting manned up by defensive-minded players who are coming off the bench and just told, hey, just give him fits. And the Kings aren't stepping out to help him at all. It's the most ridiculous thing I've ever seen. There's a reason why their bench is performing so poorly, and it's because they aren't actually running any semblance of an offense at all, and it's very frustrating to watch.
All right, let's touch on our 3 things to watch from the game. First thing that I noted in my game preview today of today's matchup between the Wizards and Kings: Cousins versus Gortat, and Cousins has had trouble with Gortat in the past, but this is a different DeMarcus Cousins that we've seen all season long. But it looked like we got a taste of the old DeMarcus Cousins tonight, with, as I mentioned in his stat line, finishing with 14 and 12, but took 16 shots to get those 14 points. And, Gortat's numbers don't necessarily, I don't think they wow anybody, 17 points and 8 rebounds, but he was efficient. I thought that, the Wizards front line as a whole, Nene and Gortat combined, just they were no match or the Kings front line was no match for Nene and Gortat at all this evening.
Yeah, fully, John. The thing that really bugs me about this game is that where Gortat has always beat Cousins, it's the same way that Pekovic beats Cousins. They out hustle them, they race down and get low post position, and they just wait for a guard to feed them, and then they just, they're 3 feet from the basket and they go up and score easily. But that's not what happened tonight. I don't Gortat with the Wizards, he doesn't go do that. He doesn't go get low post position. And for me, this was just a matter of one-on-one getting beat. And I thought, Cousins got beat the way that he beats other players tonight. And, kind of an embarrassing game. Nene is always tough, and I know Cousins was pissed at Jason Thompson early in this game for Nene scoring on him. He was given the whole, the shaking his head and head down stuff early in this game when Thompson was getting beat by Nene. So it was an embarrassment, really. These two guys are pros, and once again, they get just absolutely dominated by guys that are good players, but probably not nearly as talented overall.
All right, point number 2. How many shots does Isaiah Thomas take tonight? And he took 24 shots. He took a lot of shots, but he had to take a lot of shots tonight. And you know what? This is a night where, okay, you look at his shot attempts relative to the flow of the game. Because DeMarcus Cousins and Rudy Gay weren't giving them anything, and because as we've become accustomed to these last few weeks, the bench hasn't been giving them much. I don't have a problem with him taking that many shots, and I don't have a problem with him taking that many shots if he's scoring if he has the kind of output he has tonight. 11 of 24 to produce 30 points. He basically he's one shot made from shooting 50% from the game on his way to a 30-point night. He did have 8 assists, which is kind of shocking considering that the Kings shot 35% from the field, and maybe if they shot a little bit better, he probably would have finished with a double-double with more assists tonight than he did. But I don't really have a problem with Isaiah, with the way Isaiah played tonight. They needed him to play the way he did, and he was really realistically the only guy who showed up outside of Ben McLemore, who showed up big time for the Kings tonight.
I completely agree with you, John. I don't think Isaiah Thomas took bad shots in this game. The one thing that really stood out to me is I think he only took 1 3-pointer, which is a huge difference to what we've seen in the past from him. I thought overall this was a solid game from Isaiah Thomas. And again, it just, with Cousins on the floor or with Aaron Gray on the floor, this team runs so differently because Isaiah Thomas gets picks and he's able to move and get free. He had a lot of jumpers right in the lane that could have gone down early. He easily could have scored 40 points without even attempting to go crazy with his field goals. So this was a quality game from him, and it's not, we're harsh on Isaiah Thomas sometimes, but this isn't one of those games. I fully agree with you.
All right, let's move on to point number 3 here, James. Can the Kings find someone else to score points? And unfortunately, as I said, Rudy Gay and DeMarcus Cousins did not score points. Give Rudy Gay a little bit of a pass, as we touched on here on the show, because he is coming off of illness, wasn't feeling very well. It really showed in terms of him not really being able to get the same kind of lift on his shot. And I kind of thought he forced some things early on, just trying to make something happen when in reality he should have just kind of made plays for teammates. He did finish with, looking at the assists here, he did finish with 4 assists. Mm-hmm. But DeMarcus Cousins, can't hammer that home enough, didn't really come out to play. And Marcus Thornton got off. He looked like he was probably on his way to a good game. I mean, he made his first 2 shots, both threes, but once again finishes just 2 of 7 from the field, 6 points. Derek Williams, 6 points on 2 shots. Ben McLemore really did come on strong for the Kings. And I liked what Aaron Gray did give the Kings defensively in the fourth quarter, but he's not a guy, obviously, that can be relied on for his offense. But, again, outside of Isaiah Thomas, there was really nothing tonight.
Yeah, honestly, the two players that I would have left in the game, the second they pulled Aaron and Gray out of the game,
Yes.
the thing went to hell in a handbasket. I mean, I think at that point they cut the lead to 4 or 5. Aaron Gray was playing incredible defense. He was eating up a whole lot of space, which he does. He was setting picks. Again, we just keep harping on this. And the other guy was Quincy Acey, who had that incredible highlight reel dunk. I mean, that was incredible. That really got the Kings going and kind of propelled them even to make this game close.
Yeah, I thought that was kind of a questionable call there by Malone, and these are some of the things that we've noticed, I guess, in the last two games when it comes to criticizing Coach Malone. And again, it's he's in his first year as a head coach, so you kind of cut him some slack here for the decisions that he makes. But I thought the flow of the game, you keep those guys in, you keep Aaron Gray, you keep Quincy Acey, you keep Derek Williams just in the game, and not put back Rudy Gay and DeMarcus Cousins, who have been struggling all night long, and see if they can give you a chance to win. Because as you mentioned, Aaron Gray was setting picks and getting guys open for shots, and Isaiah Thomas was rolling, and maybe if they had kept that lineup in, maybe we would have seen a different result. Maybe we wouldn't have. But I thought that's kind of where the game kind of turned, because the Wizards ended up pushing their lead back up to 10 points after DeMarcus Cousins and
Yeah,
entered the game.
as soon as they put Cousins and Gay back in the game, didn't they turn the ball over once each? Like right then, they boom. Martell Webster hits a three.
When Cousins re-entered the game, Ben McLemore had that very nice strong attack to the rim off the dribble, finishing with the layup, and then they were down 5 points, but then the Wizards went on to pretty much take over from there.
Yeah, this is a learning game for Malone. If I'm like looking at this game, realistically, you had players who got you back in the game, and historically, Malone has done a good job of letting those players ride it out and see how they perform. Tonight, he didn't. He went back to guys that were completely ineffective. I mean, again, Cousins was out of control in the first half. I don't even know how that halftime went, because he went into halftime like bitter and angry. So this is one of those games where, for whatever reason, some of your starters weren't ready to play, and I would have liked to have seen him stuck it out with some other players. I like that he did stick it out with McLemore. He didn't bring Marcus Thornton back in the game. For all of Cousins' faults, for all of his yelling and everything else, the fact is he was right about Marcus Thornton getting burned on the same play repeatedly, like 3 times in a row, get burned on the same exact play, and that's really frustrating. Now, he's got to do a better job of handling that situation, but that is kind of the Cousins way right now, and something that he needs to work on.
All right, player of the game. I'm going to go with 2 guys. I'm just going to go with the Wizards front line. Marcin Gortat and Nene. As I mentioned, the Kings were just no match. Jason Thompson and DeMarcus Cousins, they were no match for the Wizards front line tonight. Nene and Gortat finishing with 35 points and 13 rebounds combined. That was really the difference, because John Wall didn't have a great game. I mean, I thought Isaiah Thomas played pretty good defense on Wall tonight, and obviously outplayed him on the offensive end. But the Wizards front line, you look at the final stat line for the Wizards, nobody really jumps out at you offensively as far as their stat line. Bradley Beal did finish with 16 points, but you look at the contributions of that of their power forward and center, and I really thought that was why they won tonight, coupled with the fact that DeMarcus Cousins struggled mightily for the Kings this evening.
Yeah, John, I would go with the same 2 players. I think those 2 are clearly the best 2 players of the night. They made a huge impact for their team. Again, not super impressed with John Wall. I watched him hit a bunch of off-balance jumpers to start that game, and unfortunately, his game isn't sustainable. Those fall-away, ridiculous 20-foot jumpers they're bad basketball. When he's slashing, he's really effective. But also, I mean, the other thing is John Wall, Isaiah Thomas just handed him his jock. That was really surprising for me to see, too. We've heard all of this improvement in John Wall, and then he's supposed to be this quick player. and Isaiah Thomas just jitterbugged all over the court and ran around him. And he dropped 30 points on Wall. And so I'm impressed, especially Nene. It's weird. He's been in the league so long that you forget. Nene Hilario. The Kings were after him for so many times. That was one of Jeff Petrie's favorite guys. But to see him out there, he's got gray in his beard. He's got gray in the top of his hair, and he just looks like an older player now, but still really, really effective.
Yeah, I don't know if you caught this tweet by Michael Lee of the Washington Post. I think it was during the first quarter or pregame, but I think he caught up with John Calipari, who's celebrating his birthday today. Kentucky head coach, checking out John Wall and DeMarcus Cousins, his guys from Kentucky. And he said he was eager to see John Wall versus Isaiah Thomas tonight, particularly because he knows that Isaiah gives Wall fits, and that's what we saw tonight where Isaiah scores 30 points against the Wizards, albeit in a losing effort. Well, I guess we're having some technical glitches there.
We're back.
There you go.
Yeah. John, and the one thing I'd like to, one of the final thoughts here, as we get close to ending this thing. My Sunday musings was on DeMarcus Cousins and sort of the politics behind why he didn't make the All-Star game. And I hope people don't read that the wrong way, and that I'm trying to, that I don't like DeMarcus Cousins or that I'm bashing on him. Just the fact is that DeMarcus doesn't exude like a positive spirit when he's on the court, and he has a negativity that we saw tonight multiple times. He has a way that he carries himself where he doesn't look like he's enjoying himself, and I think that's the overarching theme that I'd like to get across to people with that piece, is that Team USA, the All-Star game, those are putting your best foot forward for both the NBA and for America. And DeMarcus Cousins needs to look at himself in the mirror and see that the way that he's portrayed and that he portrays himself, the way that he goes out and carries himself, has an impact that goes beyond the numbers. And it doesn't matter how good he is on the court as far as statistics. If that's what people think of when they see him and when they think of him, it's probably not going to get him very far. And I'm not saying he needs to dance and then he needs to be a totally different person. He just needs to be aware that he's in the entertainment business and he's getting millions of dollars to do it. And so that was my final thought of the night.
Yeah, I think to add on to that, I think he's been relatively good this season when it comes to attitude issues, except for a few outbursts here and there. But these last two games, I mean, looking at him against the Celtics, allowing Jared Sullinger to have a career night against him, despite him having a big double-double, and then tonight in front of his old college coach, and then having that huge blow-up at Marcus Thornton in the second quarter. Those are things where people who are making the decisions, they see how he's played following the latest snub of him not making the team over Anthony Davis as Kobe Bryant's replacement, and they say, there you go, that's why we didn't pick him. And so
and John,
I think for him, he's got to get to a point where if he gets snubbed, he's got to have big games following the snub to show them, hey, look, I'm playing well, I'm showing you through my play, I'm not having any issues. And then maybe that'll make people think twice about him. But unfortunately for him, he's playing from behind. He's always going to be playing from behind in the court of public perception at this point.
Yeah, John, it's not even the blow-ups that I think hurt him as much as an overall demeanor that he carries. And it's something that he needs to watch enough game footage of himself. It's like if you want the crowd to get involved, to raise your hands up, and you've seen Isaiah Thomas do it a million times, trying to get the crowd involved, trying to help them carry the team forward. And it's almost like DeMarcus Cousins' approach would be to like literally grab individuals by the shirt and start yelling at them. You need to yell, you need to scream, and it's like but that's like the persona that he portrays. It's that he he's just not happy, and I'm not saying he needs to be like, a stupid look on his face the whole time, just smiling like an idiot. But what I am saying is that he needs to look like he's enjoying the game of basketball, because he is playing a game for millions of dollars. That's what he does for a living. There are a billion people in the world that would give up everything to do exactly what he does. And as of right now, if people don't think you're enjoying it, I mean, I don't even know what he would do against European competition, because the European guys, they'll poke you in the eyeball. That's just how they play ball. And, Cousins would literally be grabbing guys by the ankle and smacking them off the ground. And I just, that's where he has to make a change if he wants to be an Olympiad, if he wants to be an all-star. It's not play. He's going to be dominant. He's going to probably average 25 and 13 per 36 this season. And, it goes beyond play at this point.
All right, on that note, we'll wrap up this edition of the Cowbell Kingdom Road Reaction postgame show. The Kings losing to the Washington Wizards 93-84 tonight. Join us on Tuesday when the Cavs take on the Kings. They will be hosting the Sacramento Kings, and surprisingly, that game is going to be shown on national TV. I don't know why fans would vote that on to NBA TV fan nights, but apparently the fans are masochistic in nature or whatever. So
that's right.
That's probably why they're going to show that game on TV. So we'll be on after that show, and until then, join us next time on another edition of the Road Reaction postgame show here on CowbellKingdom.com.